my sweet sex posse babes.
Babes?
The Trumpocalypse has arrived.
Nuking Lacey Green's face. Okay, so now that you've nuked Lacey Green's face, the New Deal, the Great Society, and anything good that Barack Obama ever did for us, all that goes up in the mushroom cloud, along with Lacey Green. So, good job. That's what the third wave feminism, social justice warrior thing accomplished. It accomplished putting Donald Trump in the White House, and what that's going to do is that's going to get rid of the New Deal once and for all. Up in the mushroom cloud with Lacey Green's face goes the EPA and OSHA, the Consumer Protection Agency, and all the stuff that goes along with that. I mean, basically we're going to be in the concrete jungle again during the McKinley era, essentially. They're going to roll shit all the way back to the McKinley era, and you're going to be whistling Dixie trying to get any of that shit back, because they're just going to fucking do the gridlock thing that they did during the Obama presidency. You know, they're going to play that same goddamn game again. And they that we're talking about are the super rich, and, you know, bottom line is, man, you can't fight against that much money. These people have so many trillions and trillions of dollars that you just can't fight against that. So, sorry.
I don't know the family you come from. I don't, but as you grow up, you will discover that this is really a family society and not an individual society. We tend to talk about an individualist society, but it really isn't. It's a family society. And the greatest incentives of all, the incentives that have really driven people on, have largely been the incentives of family creation, of family, of pursuing, of establishing their families on a decent system. What is the effect of 100% inheritance tax? The percent of 100% inheritance tax is to encourage people to dissipate their wealth in high living.
What's the harm in that?
The harm in that is that where do you get the factories? Where do you get the machines? Where do you get the capital investment? Where do you get the incentive to improve technology if what you're doing is to establish a society in which the incentive is for people who, if they by accident accumulate some wealth, to waste it?
You know, he's schooling a socialist. He's talking about society is really more about families than the individual. What he's alluding to is that billionaires want dynasty. Dynasty is how a billionaire achieves immortality. He builds a family. The Trump name is a family name that carries on for generations. They want that. They want to build dynasties. And in order to have a dynastic environment, you have to have low taxes on the super rich so that they can keep it. Here's the problem with having a dynastic, low tax on the rich, super rich system. It's called regression to the mean. It's a statistical property of breeding. So when you have a parent who is super gifted in one aspect or another, as a matter of probability, that person's children, his or her children, are going to be less gifted. And the children of people who are not all that gifted necessarily, you know, the probability is that their children are going to be more gifted. It's called regression to the mean. So when you have a dynasty, when you have a caste system where one group of people has all the money and nobody else has any money, you end up with stagnation. What you have is a system where the cream is not allowed to rise to the top. So you end up with a bunch of morons running things, and they end up running it badly. And this is the fall of Rome, or any of that other kind of stuff that you see. The first thing that you see is that you see the rise of these dynastic empires. The empire lands in the lap of a fucking moron, and the moron fucking runs the empire into the ground because the moron's not capable of running an empire. This is why you have to have a system where the cream is allowed to rise to the top, which is what we had between Franklin Delano Roosevelt, World War II, and sometime in the 80s. That's what we had. We had a system where the cream you know, where there was enough fuel going into the base of the economy, the poor people on the bottom, that they were allowed to grow, they were allowed to, you know, to prosper, and that cream was allowed to rise to the top. But when you have a situation where there's no mobility, there's no social mobility, because all of the money is held, all of the cash is held by one or two families, and nobody else has any mobility, any ability to do anything, to accomplish anything, to build anything, that's it. That's the end of America right there, in a nutshell. So this is why you have to tax the super rich. It just is. You got to tax them people. And if you don't tax them, if you end up having this super rich individual, they're able to control everything. And YouTube is a classic example of this. You can't say whatever you want to say on YouTube, and your video is not going to get viewed. You will notice that there's certain kinds of material that you talk about. Someone will go and preview your video, or it will, the keywords will, the bot will look at it, see the keywords, and it will shut your fucking video down. It'll shelve your video. Nobody will see it. It just won't go anywhere. It just won't get viewed.
YouTube is broken. Let me try and condense it and break it down. So we've talked about in the past week, when people have been uploading videos, there have been massive subscriber drops across the board for a lot of people. A lot of people telling the people that they watch that we've been unsubscribed recently and we don't know why. Also now there are claims that views are disappearing. Most recently, a bunch of big creators, including people like Ethan from H3H3 Productions, have said that the trending page, it's broken, or it's being manipulated / something shady is going on. Is there any truth to it? So what I will say is, in my opinion, there is 100% a sub glitch. Our channel usually goes up 1,000 to 3,000 subscribers a day, but then all of a sudden this started and it dropped, and then we started losing subscribers. We'd go up, we'd go down, we'd go up, we'd go down. Then as far as views disappearing, I didn't think so, but then I looked at the numbers, looks like it. On average, we get 1 to 2 million views every weekday. Yesterday we got negative 109,000 views. So either a mess up, or someone has created a time machine and has started killing off people that had been watching my videos previously. Both of those possibilities are concerned. Please be safe.
If you really want your video to get viewed, if you want somebody to actually see your material, I mean, if you want to make money on YouTube, then you've got to fucking carry water for the hegemonic power structure. You got to say certain things, you know. You got to say taxes are bad, regulations are bad, it's the poor person's fault that they're poor, cheap labor is good, raising the minimum wage is bad, Obama is bad, the Clintons are bad, Donald Trump is good, the EPA is bad, OSHA is bad, government regulations bad, wealth good. You got to be sneaky about it, slip it in there, you know. Fucking Philip DeFranco, man, he's really good at that. He rides the fence like really well, you know, so he doesn't look like he's partisan, but then he slips in these things. Oh, you know, I really think that this recent video that he did, you know, that you're going to be hurt by raising the minimum wage.
And two, I want to let you know that I am sympathetic to the cause, but it's not going to work out for a lot of you. And what I mean by that is, I believe that the minimum wage could change in a meaningful way very soon. But many people in the service industry, specifically in the fast food industry, you're going to lose your job. And I say that more sympathetic to your request than I really have ever been, or more likely, all of these other people that were getting paid more now just get paid more again, and then you have an inflation problem. All of a sudden, the US dollar isn't worth that much.
And he uses, I guess it was Brazil or something as an example of that.
We're seeing that in Venezuela right now. Just in November, their currency lost 55% of its value. This is the difference in exchange rate in just 28 days. And why did that happen there? Well, experts are pointing at a few things. The first being that the government recently raised the minimum wage 40%. And to give you a little context, if you look at Fight for 15 back in the United States, for most of the states in this country, if you change the minimum wage to $15, that is an increase of over 100% for most states.
Where there's all these other reasons why
Venezuela
is having the troubles that they're having. So.
But the minimum wage change in Venezuela might not be the only culprit. Reportedly, food prices have skyrocketed because there is a food scarcity. Venezuela also fully reopened their border with Colombia, and a lot of people have been taking their money elsewhere. And the Venezuelan government cut the cash requirements at banks in Venezuela. And they've just been printing money. So that's what we're seeing there. But also, when you look back to the United States, a lot of the people, when I say it's not going to work out for you, technology is not on your side. McDonald's, Panera Bread, places like that, they have no need for someone in the front. Me saying my order to another person who is touching a screen is very much like your grandmother saying, "Oh yes, can you Google this for me?" And you...
When you're talking about the power of the super rich, when you have $1 trillion being controlled by one holding company, when you have a cabal of billionaires that control several $1 trillion. They can make the whole economy exhale at will. So when there's a turn, a political turn that they don't like, they can suck their money out of here and put it over there, and they can cause various elements of the economy to move in ways that are unfavorable to people, and then they can say, okay, now this is your fault. When in actuality, they're in control of the whole thing. So, you know, just forget it, man. Forget it. It's over. It's been over for a while. What you have now is the illusion of choice. You have the illusion of liberty. You don't. You have no liberty, and you have no voice. Make a YouTube where, like, go down and look at my YouTube at the view numbers on my videos. And there are some videos that are they just never, you know what I mean? They never get viewed. I don't know whether the bot sees my face or it looks at the material that I'm talking about, but they don't want the shit that I'm telling you, the shit that I'm talking about, that I'm telling you about, that gets said vaguely here and there. They don't want people thinking about this shit. They don't want this information out there. So, that's all I got this time. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys out there, man. I love my supporters. They're few and far between. If you like this video, please rate, comment, and subscribe. God bless, and I hope I see you next time. Thanks for watching. This is R. Crosby Lyles, and this has been News from the Can. Thanks.
News from the Can.